Good morning again. Daniel again. Hope you had your breakfast tacos this morning. I actually had Waffle House. That's the cool thing about living in the Dallas Fort Worth region area. There are Waffle Houses everywhere. I'm originally from San Antonio, and the nearest Waffle House in San Antonio is actually located like a mile down the road from the Austin airport. Love that place. All right, what are we talking about today? So we've gone through most of you all, if you're listening, students, parents, heaven forbid, directors, uh, have gone through at least one football game. Now, obviously, there are some schools in Houston that have not been able to do that yet. But most of you all have gone through a first football game. First performance in front of a bunch of people in a stadium with the lights on a Thursday, Friday night. Awesome. Cool. Great. Grand. Wonderful. Now that videos are much easier to be shared amongst a large group of people, thanks to the internet and technology, starting to see a lot of videos of marching band performances from the first football game, and inevitably, there is a massive overreaction to what is going on the field on that very first performance, which is natural. I mean, you go so long without, seeing what a top-tier program is going to do or what an up-and-coming program is going to do. Then you see what they have to offer the first time, and you immediately try to make judgments or, try to figure out how they're going to place at the next contest or even further down the season. So we're going to talk about that real briefly, and then I'll get out of your way. A long time ago, we attempted, through TexasBands.com, we attempted to gather a bunch of videos and put them on, put links up and all that stuff. Man, we got a nice little interesting reaction from directors and students and parents and all that stuff, and we kind of abandoned that idea. Yeah, our instant message boxes were flooded with some not so good comments about what we were doing, so we scrapped it. But nevertheless, a lot of videos are being shared online through social media and other means. A lot of top-tier programs had their first football game, so now everyone's curious about what they're going to do and want to rush to judgment about how they're going to fare this season. Here are a couple of things to keep in mind. From a performance aspect, it's the first performance. So it's difficult to say how well they're going to perform later in the season. From a design standpoint, there's just not enough information out there to accurately decide how they're going to how programs are going to be this season. So there may a lot of these you see these performances, and the first thing that comes to mind is, well, there's nothing on the field in terms of props or flags or any stuff like that. Well, the reality of the matter is sometimes those props are not built yet. Sometimes the visual program is not a complete thought yet, and we'll talk about that closer to like actual contests about complete musical and visual thoughts in the design process. Naturally, the music is going to sound better than the visual. That doesn't make any sense. The music is going to be better than the visual program. in the early season at least. And that makes sense because, some of these programs have had their music since early May, and they've been practicing it since then. On the flip side, you are not allowed to learn drill in the state of Texas until August 1st. So the visual program's only been out there a month. Couple that with, trying to move your feet in time and play with the same tone quality and same musical character as you can when you sit down. The visual program's going to be lacking a little bit. And that's okay for the beginning of the season. That's going to happen. Now we can make good guesses about who's going to be good and who's going to be on the bubble and all that stuff. Because if you're a giant nerd like I am, it's something fun to do. And we're not. This is not meant to degrade one program or build one program up or anything like that. It's fun to speculate. The unknown, not just in marching band but in life, can be interesting, and it's a way to pass the time before we get to an actual contest and you get there in the stadium and you got your kettle corn and you're ready to enjoy some quality marching band stuff. The advice I would give to students is that should you be freaking out because a program has more on the football field than your program does? Absolutely not. Should you be puffing your chest out because you have more material on the field than another program? Probably not. This is all relative. As a performer, as a student, you cannot worry about other people's performances because there's nothing you can do to positively or negatively affect another band's performance. But a lot of the time, students think they can do that, or they can will another program to not do well. You are in control of your own performance. That's it. You're the one learning the drill. You're the one learning the music. And that's all you have control over. Everything else is just crap. Perform your show. See where it's at. Simple. A lot of programs use metronomes at football games now, especially for the first performance. I don't want to say back in my day we used to do it this way, but, when I was in high school, there were very few, I hardly heard of any programs that would use metronomes on the first performance. Nowadays, it is extremely common, and I do not have a problem with that whatsoever. Directors and staff know their students better than anybody. They know what their students are capable of. They know whether or not they are going to need that device to ensure a quality performance at the first football game. A director's job is to set their students up for success. However they choose to do that, I have no problem with, because they know their students better than anyone else. They know that if they send them out there and the performance falls apart and there's something they could have done to prevent that performance from falling apart, they're going to take those precautions. It's as simple as that. No issue with it whatsoever. Now, as a fan, I wasn't expecting, like, all of a sudden 5-6 years ago, you'd see videos of first performances from marching bands and you'd hear the click or you'd hear the beep in the background and you'd think it was a mistake. It was just something that wasn't common. Now it's extremely common. No problem with it whatsoever. Directors are going to take the proper precautions to make sure that their students have a successful performance. With that being said, you can't judge too much off of those performances. It's a good thing for students to get out there and perform in front of a crowd under the lights. And that's the other thing, too. That's the point I wanted to make. A lot of these performances are not done in full uniform because of, the directors want to take precautions with the heat that's outside, because even though it's September, it's still 1,728 degrees in the state of Texas. So a lot of these performances are done in a band polo and khakis, and it's difficult to gauge that performance, because believe me, it's very different. Performing in a band polo and khakis is completely different than performing in a full band uniform with a shako or helmet or Aussie with a giant fluffy plume at the top of your head. Changes everything about how it looks from the stands, and as a performer, it changes how you maneuver around. I mean, you have more material on your body. It affects how you perform. That's why a lot of practices involve, okay, everyone bring your shako and plumes out, and we're going to rehearse the entire 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, with a shako on our head. Or, hey, everybody's going to wear a white t-shirt today, and we're going to start fixing things visually. My warning to everybody is, don't overhype your show off of the first performance. Don't overreact to other people's performances. You can use it as motivation if you'd like, but don't think your season is completely done just because, some program has 5 minutes of the show on the field, both visually and musically. So there's that. We'll keep this one short today. This is something that's just kind of on my mind, and it kind of happens every year. The videos come out, and then all of a sudden we're ready to crown a national champion, or we're ready to crown a regional champion and stuff like that. And sometimes we need to remember to put on the brakes and just take it one performance at a time. That's all I've got for now. Pretty hyped for the Austin Regional coming up in a couple of weeks. I hope you all can make it out there. I hope you all come by and say hi. If you can't be there, guess what? FlowMarching.com will be streaming all of the regionals and Grand National Championships this year. Check them out. Get a subscription. Watch the bands from the comfort of your own home instead of, melting in the hot Texas sun like I will be doing in 2 weeks. I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you. Take care. Adios. Bye-bye.